back at one of my favourite venues for another Easter weekend race. It's Saturday morning. We are at Abingdon, Dalton Barracks. Guys, welcome back to the What Life. Let's roll. So Dalton Barracks is hosting the Reading something road races, which have all been going on this morning. But after that, there is an open 3-4 and a few other races. I'm not part of a club, so I can't, or I'm just not racing the Reading road races. And I'm hoping a lot of the good bike riders are racing the Reading road races, so that our 3-4 field is a little bit smaller and it gives me half a chance to get a point. Morning. Can I please sign on for a race?
Yeah.
Sir? Yes, please. 11:30. One of the nice things about them hosting the Reading road races are they have a coffee vendor here this morning. Very much appreciated. Like I said, all the other road races are going on this morning. My race, the 3-4, is at 11:30. 45 plus something, I think, is the usual form. I should probably double check that. Nothing really to report other than I did race Castle Combe yesterday, and after a week in Mallorca, finding out that 40 hours on the bike through the hills probably doesn't help with 40-minute crit racing. But all went well yesterday. We're going to try and carry on the form, but I need a point, guys. Today's like, I'm putting this down as like a reasonable chance to get a point. Let's get to it. I always like Dalton Barracks, just because you drive in, nice venue, always somewhere to park, really nice people, really nice RD as well. The race director is great. Got myself a bib. I didn't actually enter this online because I missed the entry. Someone messaged me and I thought, screw it, we'll go and bike race. Nothing else to do on a bank holiday weekend. Let's get ready. There is a big old crosswind today, which means the start-finish straight is going to be slow. I think, anyway. You'd be crazy to attack into this. I'm not crazy, I'm just stupid. It's pretty windy today, same as yesterday when we did Castle Combe, but it is drier. It looks like, and I'm only going on what's happening on the track at the moment, is when they get to the start-finish straight, it's windy and a big old crosswind, so it's hard. So people aren't necessarily firing in the attacks. Who knows what's going to happen today? The plan is, again, race it a little bit like Castle Combe, just try and be in a good position. The thing that I was really happy with from yesterday was my, or kind of better positioning, and it was a big pack, so it's harder to position in a big pack, especially for someone that doesn't really know what they're doing. But I got better positioning coming into that last lap, into the bell lap. And that's going to be the same again today. Is, you know, the finish line is not the finish line, Max. You've got to be in position on the bell lap, kind of, and then give yourself half a chance for when you get to the finish line. Otherwise, it's game over before you've even kind of got on the start-finish straight. So that's my plan. And, you know, as you know, not everything always goes to plan, but we'll see. In case you are wondering how windy it is, barriers are being blown into the course up on the top corner. So just going to get them out of the way for the boys. Here come the girls. This is what I need. And a good little tear up in the men's race. That's the Reading road race. I don't know which one that is. Right, chip timer on. we have maybe 28 riders, which is on the smaller side of the fields that I've ever done. So yeah, less riders. I think that was 28 signed on, but they obviously take on the day entries as well. It's not the Reading Road Race, it's the Oxfordshire League or something, but that's why our open 3-4 race has less people in it, because a lot of people are racing the Oxfordshire League for their club. I think it is like a club sort of thing. I need to sort that out. I need to probably get involved in a bit of that. But yeah, let's kit up and get a warm up in. Got about half an hour, 35 minutes, and then we roll. Right, it seems like everyone is talking about trying to hide today. We have a few people that are doing this race that also did the Oxfordshire League race as well. So we'll see how it goes. It's a 3-4, 25, 26 riders. Windy crosswinds. Windy crosswinds. Nothing more than we can do than just give it our all. Get a good warm up in. Head out. It's going to stay dry, I hope. Yeah. Once more, unto the fray we go. Right, we've got 10 minutes until we're off. It's getting windier, but it's nice to get a warm up in. I hope today goes well. Yeah, I think a warm up will help, because Castle Combe, no warm up, really. So a good warm up, smaller group. Really fight for some good positioning today. Let's see how it goes.
Right. Let's talk you through this. Seemingly absolute disaster. 26, 27 riders off the line. I'm actually not clipped in with my right foot, so didn't panic. Didn't get a clip in, so ultimately I just kind of got up to speed. I try and sort it out a few times, go through it a few times. Right, before we get into this too much, guys, if you are watching this and you were in this race and you led this race out, sound off in the comments. I want to know what was going through your head. I want to know why you did it. I'd actually like an apology as well, because whoever took this race out destroyed it. And obviously there's nothing wrong with that, you guys are just racing your bikes, but wow, just keep an eye on the watts. I've got the watts down the bottom, heart rate, cadence. This is basically the feedback from everyone on Strava. Everyone's saying that the race got blown to pieces on lap, in the first 5 minutes, and then everyone's talking about crosswinds, and they're not wrong. So whoever led this race out in the first 5 minutes, a handwritten apology to everyone else in the field, please. Find individually, go through everyone's Strava, handwritten apology to everyone, because this race, the first 5 minutes, who hurt you, man? Who hurt you, and then why did you put that on me? So look, we're rolling 500 watt. I'm trying to hold. I'm already off the group. I'm off the group, off the start line. A little bit of a clip-in issue. Wasn't an issue, just I didn't anticipate it going this hard. And I think you'll see in a second why it went quite so hard off the line. I think the guys, obviously, some people had a game plan. Lots of people, from what I can tell from Strava, were rolling. They did 2 races. They did the Surrey League one, or whatever that was, Oxfordshire League one, and then they came and joined this for the 3-4. But this first lap was just absolute carnage. And I'm going to throw in plenty of tips on crit racing and ways to do things that are going to be involved in this video. But first and foremost, I'm just sounding off at the guys at the front of this race because good bike racing, guys. Kudos to you for being so strong on the bike. This was quite interesting. I think you guys ended up catching up with some guy who was just doing like a recovery lap. And that's really bad form on him. If he's ended up on course whilst another race has started, I don't care what tier, cap, whatever you've been in, to still be on course whilst another race has come on. Either that, or he's picked up a puncture and he's taking a shortcut home. But the front of the race getting lost and still leaving me, by the way. So the front of the race, the 2 riders that took this out so hard, I mean, my FTP on a good day on the best day ever might get close to 300 watts, and we've been holding mostly close to 400 for this entire lap. So this is what destroyed me. Some strong riders at the front broke this up. Out of the, I'm not sure how many riders we had in total, but out of the, I think it's like 26, 28, out of the 26, 28 riders that we did have, the whole race got broken down into 2s, 4s. I think at one point we get passed by a group of 6. Look, the watts are still on. We're now like bowling into a headwind here. We're bowling into a headwind. This is the start finish straight. This is, sorry, head crosswind this is. So you've got to think of the wind on the little map on the top right is coming from east to west, but slightly from the north to south as well. So this was hard. That first lap absolutely destroyed me. I did what I could, and then people just started getting shelled. People were already being shelled. I then do one lap, and there's a few, I don't even know how to describe this, guys. I'm getting lost in my words, because I do one lap and I'm like, I'm cooked. I'm literally done. So a few guys keep passing me, and I'm wondering how deep this field is. I'm wondering how many people are in front of me. I'm wondering if I'm going to put a video out on the internet that just shows me getting dropped after 4 or 5 minutes of bike racing in a 3-4. Obviously I will, because that's what it is. And then ended up kind of joining in with a few of the back marker groups, but still holding good watts. Still holding watts that, if I had to roll this for the full, what ended up being 55, 57 minutes, I'd be a dead man. I'd also be setting some personal PBs. So I'm not sure who out of the people in this race finished it and who out of this race didn't end up finishing it. This group, I wish I'd worked a little bit harder here, because there's a group of 4 in front of me and I sit on this guy's wheel. I think it might be correct in saying that it might have been one of his first or his second race. He just lets them go, and then I obviously kind of let them go, and I wish I stayed on that group that was just one group in front. But anyway, I end up kind of being a bit solo, and then this is what happens. I get picked up by these 3 riders, and this is where I'm going to talk you through some of the nuances to mid-pack racing when the front has absolutely melted off into the distance, because it would have been very easy to kind of sit there in silence, just roll around on a bike. But for whatever reason, I quite enjoy the more tactical side of bike racing. I like having a chat with people, because ultimately now we're rolling around, we pick up another rider. I think he ends up dropping off. I'm pretty sure, because we did the Castle Coombe the day before. I remember having a quick chat before the race. He joins in on our group, and then I definitely feel like he might not have ended up finishing the race. I got a feeling there are a few riders. I think both these riders that are now behind me don't end up finishing the race. That is what this race was. It was just carnage. Interestingly, so this is a tip, right? Bear in mind that the front 15 riders have melted into the distance. One of the guys in our 5-person group attacks the group here, or just puts in like a really big kick. So he's attacking the group. There is no point, well, in my humble opinion, if you are 15th to 22nd place in a 26-man race, in attacking the group at this point. Your best bet is to roll turns, and we're quite early on, we're like maybe lap 4. The best bet is to roll turns with the guys that you have available, because that way you can work together to try and pick up more riders, and you're going to get way more out of it. And funnily enough, the guy that did the attacking, who's now just sat in front of me, ends up dropping off our group as well. So it does go to show that if you find yourself off the front couple of groups, and you're kind of in the middle or / back of the race, and you are, what is, for want of a better word, amongst the stragglers, coordinate. Have conversations, talk, chat, make it fun. Don't just sit there and everyone suffer and make it miserable. Make it fun. And this was quite interesting, because I'd always try and sit a little bit out of the gutter, and then when I sat out the gutter, I think a few guys thought I was pulling off. I wasn't. I was just trying to give them space, and that is a conversation we're going to have in a second. But every time I'd sit out, someone would come underneath me and pull through, and then I'd just be like, well, fair enough, if they're going to pull through, I'm going to let them pull through. But here's the important thing. Make a good, just observe where these 4 riders in front of me are riding in terms of their positioning on the course. They're in the gutter, they're right on the edge of the runway, which doesn't leave any room for anyone else. And that's become very important in a second. I'm going to cut back to a similar shot where we're coming back down this start-finish straight. The wind is coming from our right to our left, so east to west, strong wind, so it blows you over to that gutter. But the problem is that if the front rider is sat in the gutter, it gives the riders behind him nowhere to go, which is fine if you are attacking a group, if you're attacking a small group, but I wasn't. So I say this. The problem is, I think that he kind of misheard me and thought I was talking about rolling off and which side to roll off. So he then kind of moves back into the front of the group. I wasn't. I was trying to explain to him, if you're going to roll turns down that start-finish straight, just move out into the middle a little bit to let the guys behind you sit behind you.
Yeah, got you. Thanks, man. If we work together, we'll get there. Yeah? No, we're not going to drop anyone. We're better off as a 5 than we are. If we roll times as 4, we'll be better off.
Yeah, so this is my game plan, was, start chatting to these guys, try and get everyone to coordinate a little bit, and you'll see in a second, because some of the other groups weren't quite so polite.
26 riders.
As you can hear people in the other race basically shouting at them to move out and give it a bit more room.
Try not to ride the gutter on the back straight, on the home straight, and then it gives us all a bit of room, and we'll catch these next two. Thank you.
So yeah, look, I understand, I am that guy that's kind of turning around to people and be like, hey, do this, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it coordinated us as a 4-person group in a strong wind to perform so much better. As we're getting rolled over by what I'm probably going to describe as the main pack, and there's only 6 riders there, so that shows you how much this whole race was actually broken up in the first place. But my whole point remains that if you are in that kind of mid bunch and you realise, and look at us now we're way more coordinated, with people rolling their front turn way more to the centre of the runway, which lets us all hang our front wheel off the back wheel of the rider in front. And we are working so much better now. So sometimes you've got to think that in actual fact, if you have another 40 minutes to go, you're going to be doing so much better working with the people around you than you are kind of jostling for your own position. So I thought that worked out quite well, and it definitely made us or put us in a better position. This is quite interesting because it's the penultimate lap, and ultimately our little group is 4 up, because we don't know whether they're going to put the checkered flag down, seeing as we've been lapped by a bunch of people. We don't know whether we're going to get the bell lap or the checkered flag. So I was just kind of sitting up a little bit to see whether I needed to sprint, just for the lulz of kind of winning our little group. And we're going to dive into the bell lap now. So we are on the last lap, and you can see in the top right of the map, just gone through the start finish. This was my tactics, and I thought this was reasonably well played from me, is I let one of the boys take a pull down the start finish straight. And I'll be honest with you, and no offence to anyone, but he worked hard. He did look like he was finding it hard working. So I was like, okay, who do I need to worry about in this group? We got a young lady in the group called Charlotte. She'd done the women's race, I think, before us. So a lot of people were doing 2 races this afternoon. So for a lot of people, this was their second race. This was my first race. I didn't do another race. I'd only raced the day before. Okay, so what were my tactics? What was I thinking coming into this race, into this last lap? So we're on the bell lap. We're just finishing the start finish, which is ultimately the tough bit, the headwinds, head crosswind. I was like, well, let him do the work. If I end up on the front, then I do have a tactic. And I don't mind being on the front in this group because I didn't think they'd attack me. So I got on the front, I took my drink, take as much recovery as needed. And now I'm on the front, I can slow things down. Little look behind me to see what's going on. And I'm kind of thinking in the back of my head, like, are we actually going to throw down some sprints at the finish? We've been rolling turns for 30 odd minutes, 35, 40 minutes with our little 4-person group. I'm pretty sure, just for the lulz of it and for the fact that it's bike racing, we're going to throw down a sprint at the finish. So I'm on the front. I don't mind being on the front for the very simple reason that I now get to dictate the pace. We've got a big old tailwind here, and I'm not pushing too hard and let the power come off, because I'm like, if I'm on the front and someone wants to overtake me and sit on the front, fine to you, I can sit on your wheel. But if I'm going to sit on the front, I don't mind it as long as the speed is nice and slow. We've got a small group. I didn't think anyone would necessarily attack me coming through these last few corners, but then I was going to need a tactic coming into the last couple of corners. So it's pretty simple, really. Keep an eye on the guys behind, make sure I took some good lines through the corners, and basically decide when to put the squeeze on, put a little bit more power through, and then go into a sprint. So we drop down onto the drops, and from here on the little map you can basically see I've got 2 corners left, and we start easing on a little bit of power, just working directly into a headwind now. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try and make them work a little bit. And here was the game plan, right? It's pretty simple. Was coming into the last corner, just make sure I get a really good line where no one can come underneath me. That was my only game plan, was like, make sure that you're so inside the line on this corner, no one can dive bomb your inside or come underneath you and try and punch out of that last corner. Because I know that a few people at Abingdon like to come out hard through that last corner. So couple of shifts. Don't have to come into it too quickly. I just got to make sure no one dive bombs me. I got to make sure that I cut off the angle of someone like coming underneath me. So that's why I shoulder check just there. And then I come into the corner, shoulder check, no one was there. Nice inside line, real inside line on the corner. Come out of that, probably leave a bit of room, but then I'm also looking behind. It doesn't look like anyone's attacking out of the corner. So then I just kind of have to ease on the power, couple of flicks of the gears, get out the saddle and put a little kick in. This is when I didn't realise it, but Charlotte came through with a watt bomb, and she comes up my inside, this was a little bit more worrying than I actually had anticipated. She comes agonisingly close to actually taking me on the line, but it was a fun one, and thanks to the other riders for at least rolling around Abingdon with me on a Saturday.
I presume that was the second one of the day, was it?
Yeah, that was.
How'd you do?
Oh,
Yeah. It was so broken up.
Yeah, we got split and then 3 of us managed to work together. It just seemed like the wind was getting stronger every lap.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So it ended up with 3 in your group.
Yeah, I've no idea which group we're in. Probably 3 or 4.
That went out fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me by surprise. No idea what my average is, but...
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it took me by surprise. I know every race is going to be hard for me, but
331 normalised.
331 normalised. You never really know what you're going to get, but that was definitely hard. Broken up by the end of halfway around lap 2 is when I got dropped off, and then it just kind of looked like it broke up, like 3s, 4s, 5s. There might have been a little bunch, not sure. We rolled turns with 5, then we ended up rolling turns with 4. Oh, that is a lonely day out there. Well done, everyone. As I just wait for my lunchtime pizza, it's a Saturday, Easter weekend. Let me give you a rundown on the race and a little bit of a debrief. That lap 1 tore my absolute legs off. I didn't survive the first. I think I made it the first lap and then fell off on lap 2. Found my little group, and then we all worked really well and kind of just rolled turns, which was fun. I think the nice thing about rolling turns is you get the measure, because we were rolling turns for like 25 minutes with each other. 20 minutes, 25 minutes, you get the measure of what the other riders are capable of, because when someone's on the front, you're like, oh, they're pulling this or they're pulling that. So I kind of had a suspicion coming into that last corner, and I would have talked you through this whole thing, but I know that I wanted to come into that last corner. I wanted to stay on the inside so that someone couldn't like sit in my draft. I came out a little bit, Charlotte came through on the inside a little bit, and I just managed to pip her to the finish line. That was her second race though, so I will caveat with that. Average power of 230 watts, which is about the same as Castle Combe, actually. Not too different from Castle Combe. Max power was only 900 watts in the sprint. I'm all right with that. That's I've got a lot to work on. I'm coming back from Mallorca, just like massive volume week, so I'm not like crying about anything when it comes to certainly my performance. I know that I've got a bunch of stuff to work on, and I'm going to start taking it more seriously. I haven't done like an actual training session like 30-30s or, you know, over-unders or whatever. I haven't done anything for like 4 weeks. So I don't know why I'm expecting to be any good at that type of racing when all I've been doing is just like riding my bike. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I am having a lot of fun doing it. Average speed of 22 miles an hour. But it was a tear up today. Like, that wind just destroyed the group. I think everyone ended up splitting up. It's probably one of the first times I've been at Abingdon where the whole race just gets split into little groups. The echelons were quite cool. Sat on the inside, you know, you're kind of basically almost making sure that your front wheel is just not in the wind at all. That was a big help. One sketchy moment, nothing to worry about. One of the guys afterwards just said, you know, sorry, kind of, he was moving because someone else moved, and then he almost chopped my front wheel though. That's just a racing incident. That's not him being, you know, that just happened. So I'm pretty happy that I was paying attention, and that's my reminder to you guys: always be paying attention. Yes. Did I enjoy it? Oh, it was hard. It was hard. There's nothing worse than, and please excuse what I'm about to say, there's nothing worse than being a content creator who then gets shelled on lap 2, who's then riding being like, I've got to share this on the internet. I've got to tell people that I can't survive 2 laps of a 3-4 at Abingdon. But luckily, you know, there were I think it was just a hard race. I think the wind made it hard. I think the guys on the front, I don't know what they did. One of the guys said he averaged 3:30. He's a slightly bigger lad than me, but he's pulling 3:30 for 55 minutes, which is strong. There's no way I could hold anywhere near that. Not that I'd need to, but like, I've got to get my watts up. Yes, we've got to make this the more what life, because at the moment I just don't have the ability to hold some of these groups. Nothing wrong with it, because I'm having fun, and that's kind of a big part of the takeaway that I want to get from this. Guys, thanks for joining in. Please do like, subscribe, YouTube, Strava file, all down below. Check it out. Come follow me on Strava, Instagram, whatnot. I share it all, and I will see you on another one soon.